beat the Warriors, and they did so without Anthony Davis. Kyle Kuzma played well. He's been playing well lately.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk about the Lakers, though, is their defense.
Yeah.
They are pretty solidly number one in defensive efficiency in the entire league. Do you think they can keep this up?
I think they can keep up a top 5 defense, right? I think there's going to be some injuries. There's going to be some. That's just over the course of the season. I think Utah is a really good defensive team, but with the Lakers, their size, you're talking about they play. Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis together, and JaVale McGee. You're talking about 2 of the biggest guys.
Kuzma's tall, Danny Green's tall, LeBron's LeBron.
LeBron's 6'9", Kuzma's 6'8". Like, these guys are huge, and then you bring in Danny Green or Avery Bradley that are little. So it's like the way they rebound the ball, the way they get second chance points. There's a lot of things that they bring to the table that are just problems, right? And so on the defensive rebounding side, which is a big defensive component, how many offensive rebounds are you giving up? They're one of the best in the league.
Well, one of the problems they do have is the health of Anthony Davis, who, after having nagging shoulder and rib problems over the last few weeks, you see him there not playing in the game.
Yeah.
So, Richard, what do you think about this nagging injury? Do you think this is something that's going to continue, or should he just sit out like 3 or 4 games and kind of get on the other side of it?
There was a big stat, like if you and I don't have the exact
Don't worry,
numbers.
we don't do exact numbers.
Okay, well, who gives a damn? Okay, well, his first 5 games, you look at the free throw numbers that he shot versus the last 5 games. Like it was like 55 free throws in the first 5 games, and then the next 4 games he had shot like 17.
When you have
something.
a rib problem, you're not exactly trying to bang against people.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. Those nagging injuries can affect how you play, and it's like this is not a load management where we're making this up. Just like, look at it. He's not being nearly as aggressive. His numbers might look good, but remember there was a game where he hit 20 free throws. He had like 15 and a quarter, 17 and a quarter. So I think to get him rest, to get him back to that aggressive nature, because that's what they're going to need. Yes. Ultimately, he is the one advantage that no team can match up well with Anthony Davis, right? You go against the Clippers. They got multiple bodies to throw at Bron, and they can do that all damn night, right?
Yep.
Different sizes, everybody. They got a lot of bodies to throw at him. Anthony Davis is a one that
Zubac?
Yeah, that's going to be your
Montrez is a little short for him.
Yeah, and for a lot of years, Bron was always your ace in the hole, right? He was always like, well, no one's going to be able to stop Bron. Well, they have enough bodies similar to the Warriors did when they were going on their runs. They had a lot of bodies to throw at Bron. So Anthony Davis is the one guy that you're going to want to be 100% healthy so he can be as aggressive as possible.
I'm going to say something you won't believe about the NBA.
Okay, tell me.
The Grizzlies and Hornets game was pretty good last night.
Special.
Yes, Morant continues. This isn't a fluke.
No.
Night after night, Morant
look around the back.
does his thing, and they finished too. Like, Morant, not only did he score 23 and had 11 assists, it was the end of the game. Look at this. This is nice. This is a game winner. Fumbles it a little bit.
With the left.
On the whole team. Around the rim, it finishes.
With the left.
I did not expect this from him. What have you seen from Morant?
Well, he played at a smaller school. You knew his athleticism was there. You knew he could drop dimes, but you want to see it against bigger, stronger, quicker, higher level guys, and he's done it. But he plays with an excitement. And I think, like, when you look in Memphis, that crowd, the community, they love some Ja. And so it's great to see how he's playing, the way his teammates are supporting him. He's special, right? And it's like, we want to see guys and we want to see people like be special. Trae Young, special.
Yes.
Right? Like, you're just seeing, it's like, oh, we don't see this all the time.
I'm glad you went down this path, because as a fan, as someone who really cares about the league, like, there's a little bit of a letdown when Zion Williamson isn't out there.
Yeah.
You always love a new rookie.
Yeah.
And then Morant has kind of like made up for that a little bit with his play so far. Richard, we have a segment.
Tell me.
Welcome to Jalen and Jacoby. In for Jalen Rose, we have Richard Jefferson.
So good to be here.
Very quickly, is it true that you don't like being called RJ?
Is it true?
I call you RJ all the time.
No. This is the thing. No one, I've never introduced myself as RJ. No one in my family or friends call me RJ.
Oh, it's probably just that gigantic weird tattoo you have on your shoulder that says RJ. That might have something to do with it.
Agreed. I've told the story a million times, and I just get tired of correcting people. It doesn't bother me.
I will call you Richard.
That's fine.
Or Dickie.
So much,
Crazy game last night in Houston. Kawhi and the Clippers, still without Paul George, faced the Rockets and James Harden. And James Harden was masterful once again. 47 points, 17 in the fourth quarter. Richard, so many are critical. So many are critical of his style of play and the Rockets' style of play, yet they keep winning games. How many wins will it take before people start realizing that this works?
Well, it depends. You go back to the Suns, right? When Steve Nash won his multiple MVPs, and there was
seconds or less. Yeah.
There was a couple of times where I felt like they had a chance to win the title, but ultimately the defensive juggernauts slowed them down. That's why Steve Nash had never been to a finals, right? He was a great scorer. They had tons of weapons. There is a similar coach there. And if you look at it, so yes, this does produce points. It is fun to watch, but it's very similar to shooters winning an NBA championship. That's why Charles Barkley famously said a shooting team, a three-point shooting team has never won a championship. Where the game has changed, the game has evolved. Golden State proved that fact wrong, and I think Houston, in order to prove that D'Antoni's system and we're just going to try and outscore you, can win a championship.
So I was watching this game last night with some friends, and James Harden is just doing things I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Like the sidestep backs and then getting to the lane and everything he does. And
deep three with ease.
We've seen teams try to double him, and they did last night, and he would break it. They've seen teams shade him to the left, seen teams let him drive the lane. Like, what is the best defensive tactic to try to slow down this warlock of the basketball court?
I don't know if there is one. I want to say like he is.
Is that doubles right now?
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Especially with the way the rules are, so you can be a lot less physical. And he is a master at drawing fouls.
That's a good point.
Left-handed, so he's got a little bit of an awkwardness to him that players aren't used to seeing. You're afraid of fouling him on a three-point shot. This is similar to when Kobe Bryant was going through that stretch where he was just scoring everything at any 81s and 40 points and 15 straight games, like that type of stuff. I don't think there is a way to guard him, right? But I do believe that when the game does slow down, when the game does change in the postseason later in the year, that's where you've seen those struggles. And it's just like any great player, until you do it on the biggest stages. And they've been to the postseason. They've been to a conference.
You don't have to win the championship to be a success.
That's not true. That's not true. And I mean it from a standpoint of like, I'm not comparing myself. What I'm saying is like, we're comparing him to the all-time greats. We're comparing him to the Michael Jordans, to the Kobe Bryants, to the LeBron James. Those are the people he's in the same conversation with. He's up there with Wilt Chamberlain numbers.
Yes, he's earned it with his performance.
Yes, so ultimately, once you get to that stratosphere, the next thing we need to see is it generate championships. And I think that's what his goal is, but that's where I think some of the critique comes in.
Well, there was some more critiques being thrown around last night because Pat Beverley, famously an agitator, known as a great defender, is wildly accepted as a great defender, except for a gentleman named Russell Westbrook who disagrees. Let's listen to Russ.
Pat Bev trick y'all, man. Like, he play defense. He don't guard nobody, man. Just running around doing nothing. It's not. As you've seen, what happened 47. All that commotion to get 47.
Pat Bev tricked us. Pat Bev tricked us into believing he's a good defender. All he does is run around. It is worth noting, while James Harden did have 47, he was 0 for 6 against Pat Beverley. So, is Pat Beverley just running around? Did he trick us? Or is he legitimately one of the best defenders in the league?
I'm going to say both.
I'm going to say both. Oh, hot take.
I'm going to say both. I'm going to say both. And this is why. A lot of the agitation is just to like get you out of your game. So that's not really defense, right? Like, he's not this great perimeter defender. But when he's locked in, when he's just playing good on-ball defense, he's one of the best in this league. So it is both. He is tricking you with all the agitation and all the hype and all the loudness. And there's some Draymond Green in it, where it's like he's going to get away with saying more and doing more because he plays like that all the time. But ultimately, he is a good defender. And don't forget, there was a little bit of history with him and Russell Westbrook.
There was a lot of history between the two of them.
The knee injury and that. Now, I'll say this. Pat Bev, I would take him on my team 10 times out of 10. Love him to death. Of
course.
The play that he did against Russell Westbrook, he didn't intend to injure him, but it was doing too much.
It was doing
too much. And the guys have like dribbled up, like, I'm going to call a timeout, then go and score. And he wasn't trying to do, but it was like a little too much.
We've all seen it. Now,
it was a little too much.
There's one thing I want to say. Jalen always says about loud points. Like, someone Russell Westbrook scores loud points. Kawhi Leonard scores quiet points. I think he plays loud defense.
Yes.
When he makes a defensive stop, he's clapping. He's letting everybody know. Like, he wants the attention. So I see like there's a little bit of that. He kind of like makes himself seem like a better defender, but at the same time,
he is a good defender.
He's a good defender.
It's like Draymond Green. Draymond Green, when he does something, but look, those things can energize your teammates. Those things can energize they can energize the fans. They can energize like everyone.
It doesn't mean he's not genuine.
No,
he's not doing it to trick us.
But I've seen both players, right, be loud, where it was like, I don't know if that's a point as like being loud, right? Like you're just like screaming.
You got a
just
jump
for
ball.
So you're just screaming now.
So there was James Harden's wizardry, Pat Bev's defense, but the best moment that happened last night in Houston was this. Doc Rivers and his son Austin Rivers. See, Doc Rivers gets a tech. Austin Rivers just screaming for his own dad to get a tech.
Oh, my God.
I love it so much. This relationship is just layered upon layers upon layers.
And it's,
my question for you is, what is the text exchange between the two of them after the game?
Oh, it's awesome. I kid you not. Like, these are moments that, like, I think as a dad you would be proud of, right?
Oh, yeah.
These are awesome. Like, I wish that I could be a coach and have little Richard or little Phoenix like team me out. And I'd cuss them out too. Like, sit your little, you know what I'm saying? Like, just sit your ass. I would go hard at them too. Like, I'd get thrown out for cussing him out.
If you study the history between these two, it's just so interesting because everyone's like, oh, it's nepotism. He got this contract because his dad's the coach. But like, the two of them kind of go back and forth a lot.
There was some awkward moments there, and it caused tension in that Clipper locker room. And it's like, look, Austin Rivers can play, right? He's an NBA player. He really struggled. He really struggled early on in New Orleans, and a lot of people thought Doc bringing him in was pretty much saving his career because at that point in time he hadn't really done a great job playing, and he was kind of struggling for being a top pick. Doc brings him in. He starts to get a little bit of rhythm, starts to get confidence, and he's a player.
You know one thing I love about Austin Rivers?
What?
When he gets the ball, you can't tell him he's not Michael Jordan.
Oh,
like the confidence that he shows, jumping into two centers, bouncing off. Like, you can't tell him he's not Michael Jordan.
He will drive into a team meeting.
Yes.
By himself.
Yeah, and they complain to the refs.
There's five guys there. Hey, let's go talk to them with the ball. I love it so much.